Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. This is Shelley Troyer from iTech. Welcome to the 13th week of Tech Tips Live, the weekly series where we get together and talk about new ways to incorporate technology here at K-State. A few housekeeping items. I have muted everybody's microphone, but feel free if you want to unmute during the talk to ask questions, or you can save your questions until the end. I'll just let everyone unmute themselves as needed, or feel free to go ahead and send questions in over the chat at any time. I'll typically save those chat questions towards the end, but if they're applicable throughout the talk, I'll go ahead and bring them up. So I think with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to today's presenter, Andrew Keeler from the Instructional Technology team, who's here to talk to us today about some useful apps for Android and iOS devices. Andrew?
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Keeler. I'm here today to talk about some apps available for iOS and Android devices. All of these apps are available for both platforms except for one, except for two that I will make note of. So in creating this presentation, the first problem I came up to was how do I show off these applications that I'm wanting to demonstrate. And I came up with an excellent solution that I found online, this product called Visor. So let me begin to share my screen and I'll show you what I found. In the Chrome browser, you have the ability to use apps that are built in, and you could download this one called Visor, and it allows you to manipulate your Android phone from your PC, and this can be useful if you want to share the full Android experience over Zoom, or if you're an Android developer, or a number of different things. And so I was just going to do a quick run through of how I did this. There will be more detailed instructions posted with the video after this presentation is over. So the first thing that you need to do is go to this Chrome Web Store page and install the app into your browser. From there, you have a little apps button in Chrome. You can launch the program, and then what it'll do is it'll start scanning for devices. And I'm right now about to plug in my phone. And yep, there it goes, found it. Starts connecting. And I'm connected. So what I had to do to get this to work was pretty simple. There are some drivers right here built into the application that you can go download, and those are only necessary for Windows. This is a cross-platform solution. It works on PC, Mac, Linux, and Chrome OS. And it's just really handy because it allows you to use your mouse within the environment. It allows you to use the keyboard, all sorts of handy things. So moving on to actual applications available. The first one I'm going to cover is Google Keep. Google Keep is a note-taking application that has a bit more functionality beyond that. You can use it to create lists, you can use it to create handwritten notes or drawings, and as well as dictate notes to it. So for example, if I were to want to take a note about, let's say, a grocery list, you could instantly start right down here and click the list button, and you can just start typing. You can get all of your lists. Oops. Close enough. Anyway, you could check things off the list. You can go back and uncheck them. You have the ability here to also collaborate on notes with people. So if you and your significant other wanted to collaborate on grocery lists, that's the thing you can do. Or if you and groups want to collaborate on any number of things, like for example, me and my father have a collaboration open. It's just really handy, really easy, and it gets you straight to the point of taking notes. There's very few in-between steps, so it saves you a lot of time too. And like many other Google products, it also has the ability to integrate with all the other services, and you have common things like archiving, which people should be familiar with if you use Gmail. You can attach labels same way you do in Gmail. And it's just a wonderful note-taking app, and I can't recommend it enough. I use it daily. Okay, so next app I'm going to be covering is SwiftKey Keyboard, which is a keyboard I have been using on Android myself for some time. It was available on Android for a long time, and as of about a year and a half ago, it's finally available on iOS. In my mind, it's the best third-party keyboard available for a number of reasons. Um, it has excellent predictive text, which is absolutely the number one reason I use it. If you have common phrases or things you're typing often, you'll be able to continue to tap, 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 and it can almost read your mind in some ways, especially once you give it like a few seed words to start a sentence, it'll almost know what you need. Another thing that's excellent about SwiftKey, if you go into your account settings here, you can set up a SwiftKey account, and you have the ability for it to personalize from a variety of different sources, including Facebook, Gmail, Google+, your text messages, Twitter. And so language that you use commonly in email, which you might not use commonly elsewhere, can be integrated. So like academic words, especially words like candidate and things like that, which normally aren't part of my vocabulary, it knows when I want those words. Another cool thing is it's able to keep track of how you type and how effectively you type. It's able to keep track of the words you've added, and then it also tells you fun things like what emojis you use most often, how many taps it saved, words. I mean, all sorts of fun stuff for the data nerds out there. This keyboard works well with either swipe, which is the kind of where you move your thumb around and you don't have to lift off, or you can just do the traditional touch typing. It's available in multiple languages, and for those of you that like a little bit of visual flair, there's all sorts of fun options that you can play with. Definitely highly recommended keyboard. If you're just using the stock keyboard on your device, be it Android or iOS, you're really missing out on some great new features available. Okay, moving on. The next app I'm going to talk about just briefly is GroupMe. I used this when I was a student as a way to collaborate with group projects as well as just friend groups. For example, here back in 2014, me and my friends were lunch buddies, and we were communicating with each other, trying to make sure we stayed or showed up at the right place at the right time. What's so fun about GroupMe is that it allows you to throw GIFs in, which this day and age, everybody loves GIFs. It's a lot of fun. And it's just a fun way to add flair, and it's a great way to keep in constant contact with group members. And as a person who gets annoyed by Apple users who have group text, and group text works great on iOS, but as soon as you try to port that over to Android, it can be a little bit annoying, constantly being spammed with messages. So I prefer this as far as group messaging is concerned, and it's far less invasive. Students are probably familiar with this. I know a lot of them are, but maybe there's a way for professors or certain other people to integrate this in some way. It's just a wonderful app, though. Very simple and straightforward, but it does what it needs to very well.
So,
Now,
so Andrew, can you clarify again, was that the GroupMe for just Android or Android and iOS?
Yes, I guess I didn't make that clear. All the applications I've covered so far are for both platforms. GroupMe is available. In fact, GroupMe came out first on iOS and then was later ported to Android, the opposite of what SwiftKey was doing. And in that, actually, the next application I'm going to cover is the one Android-only app that I have in this short collection of apps I'm going to show you. However, this one I specifically chose because it is pretty cool. For the longest time, if you needed to transfer files to or from your Android device, it was kind of annoying. You had to plug in a cord, you had to get drivers, you had to do this whole thing. It was kind of a nightmare. This ASUS File Manager application makes it very easy, because what you can do is you click this right down here, PC File Transfer. It's able to do it wirelessly. So I hit the Start button, open up your web browser, and then it gives you a web address you need to go to. So 10.131.189.18:55:432. And then you're instantly bringing up your file structure, your internal storage, and you're able to easily copy and paste things to the different areas of your phone, pull things out of the download folder, pull things out of your camera, and copy to and from. I just think this is super easy, especially compared to the cord method. I've had it fail a lot when using the cord, and this is just stupid simple, and it just works every time. iOS, unfortunately, does not allow users to traverse its file system. It doesn't let you look through the device, find your pictures, find your music, all that stuff. So unfortunately, there's no solution for that, but for Android users, this is definitely a very useful tool. Now, finally, the last app I will be discussing is, I feel, the coolest one. It's called Office Lens. Now, this one, I'm going to actually be picking up my phone and showing you a few things. This application here is useful for scanning documents, whiteboards, business cards, and photographs. And so if I hit the button up here, the middle button in the top left, I'm able to choose what type of document I'm going to be scanning. So for example, if I have this document right here, you're able to see that the software knows where the edges of the document are. And then when you take a picture, it processes it and then presents it in the best possible angle. So as opposed to having this weird kind of off-center angle, it'll process slowly. And then you'll get a nice clean copy. Now the coolest thing about this software is, okay, great, you have a copy. Well, what good is that if you can't search through it, if you can't edit it or anything like that? So when you save it, you'll have the option. Oh, and I hit the wrong button. I tried to scan it as a business card. That was my bad. Let me try again. I needed to select document. Let's try again. Okay, so we have the document scanned this time. Now here's where the fun starts. You have the option to save this document as a picture, as far as gallery. You get PDF, Word document, and so I'm going to select Word document, and then hit the check mark. And so what this is going to do is then transfer that document, and it's going to do something called optical character recognition, where it's going to scan the document and read the individual letters. And what it's doing right now is transferring that document to my OneDrive account online. So if I then pull up the folder where it uploads to, you can see this new document that just popped in. I can load into it. And it didn't do the best job on this one. In fact, let me show you an example of one that I did earlier that came out a little bit cleaner. So on the right, what you can see here is the picture that the application took. And then on the left is the Word document that it created from that text. And word for word, it got every single one. This is really useful for if you have documents that you might not have the original digital file for, and it would be time consuming to recreate. In fact, let me show you some of the more advanced features that it's able to do. Like, for example, let me show you this one. Here's an original picture I took from a document I made when I was a student. Had some embedded pictures. Even it had some captions on the pictures. So if you look up here on the recreation that Office Lens did, it got pretty close. It was able to even embed the pictures from the document, and it got two of the captions. Granted, it's not perfect, but it's a lot closer than you would get with any other method. Another cool one, let me just go on. Oops, not that one. This one, I took a picture here where it had a table set up. And look at this. Office Lens was able to recreate the table exactly like I needed it to be. And then finally, another cool feature that I'll show off. Ooh, that's giving it away. Let me pull back up the program. And then you might be able to see behind me, I have a whiteboard with some stuff written on it. And what's really cool about this application is you can see the angle that I'm at is pretty sideways. It's kind of a rough angle. But if I take the picture, it'll process here. what you could see is it was able to recreate the entire whiteboard flat and evenly, and so you're able to see all the corners. It kind of cut off the top left corner just a little bit, but you can see it got bottom left, top right, the two bottom lefts. But yeah, I was able to capture all the corners, all the text, and in the newest version of this software, which was just released 2 days ago, they're now able to do rough optical character recognition on handwritten text. So you can see the message that Shelley wrote, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. I recently sent this in, and see, there's the original, and it got kind of close. So it's not perfect right now, but you can see the technology is progressing, and you can potentially see the future for all of this. This application is especially wonderful for students. I know that if I was a student, or when I was a student, if this existed, it would have helped me out a lot, as opposed to furiously taking notes off of a whiteboard full of content. Instead, you could just take a picture and have it be a nice high contrast image that you can look at and reference later. No need to furiously write down. You can spend more time paying attention to the professor. So with that, I believe that, oh, and there is one more thing I wanted to cover about this. It does use a Microsoft account, a Microsoft OneDrive account. This isn't the same as your KSU Office 365 account. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with that system, so you'll have to sign up with your own personal Microsoft account. But it's easy, it's free, it takes barely any time. You can have, and they give you an email address. Like that's important anymore. But you can have an @live.com email address with it. So with that sign up, you'll have your OneDrive with 5 gigabytes of storage where these things are uploaded to, and then from there, you can download all of these. Oh, and I did remember one more thing I forgot about. The other cool feature of this app, I didn't show off the business card side of things. And this one is useful for professionals. So I have my business card right here. Let me get into business card mode. It's able to scan my business card. And then I hit save. And then from here, I'm able to select the OneNote contact plus image. It'll save it to a OneNote file on my OneDrive. But the coolest part is you don't even have to go to your OneDrive to get your contact. You can just tap the contact, save to Google, or whatever contact source you want to save it to. And bam, that contact is now in your contacts, and no need to go through and enter all that information. This feature works on both iOS and Android. I'm personally not familiar with the interface of how it all functions on iOS, but I'm sure it's very similar. And now with that, I think I'm actually done, and I am happy to take questions.
So I think Andrew has shown us some really great apps right now. So I'm sure there's got to be at least some questions out there. And I don't think any questions are dumb questions. So SwiftKey takes over the default keyboard. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. In fact, in Android in particular, you have the options to go in and select what default keyboard you want to use. I believe it's under, languages and input. And then you can select what keyboard you want to use. And so, yes, it would take over completely for the other keyboard. But you could switch back at any time.
Are there any other questions? I might jump in with one. So when I was thinking about the last app you were showing, Andrew, what if they had that app on their phone and they went to take a picture of the board, but instead of opening, it in the app, they just, took a picture of it with their camera. Can you take a picture that you already have on your camera and then load it to the app and have it fix it? You have to take the original picture with the app.
That is a good question. I don't know the answer. Let's investigate.
Okay.
If I were to guess, look at that. See, I'm glad I didn't answer first. It looks like there is an import option. So yes, you can go through and find any picture you've already taken and convert that into an Office Lens document. Sure.
Very cool. Here's another question that came in over the chat. Let's see. Don't worry. Okay, you don't have to worry about giving Google your credit card information to obtain a free app.
No, 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 no. The Google Play Store. Yeah, you don't have to give a credit card for free apps. Nothing like that.
And all of these were free, just to clarify.
Yes, all of them are free. SwiftKey does have options to pay for skins if you want a fancier looking keyboard, but I think, yeah, that's the only one that has any paid options whatsoever.
Excellent. Any other questions at this time? Okay, Andrew, I'm going to have you go ahead and stop your screen share.
Sure.
And then I will pull mine back up really quick. So just like I do every week, I'm going to remind everyone that we do record these videos and post them on our Tech Tips Live website. The website is k-state.edu/its/tech-tips-live. And if you just go and browse through all the previous sessions, if you click the arrow next to a specific session that you're interested in, the video will play or will be posted right below that. And like Andrew said earlier, since there's some more technical details associated with some of the things he talked about today, after the video we'll put some comments and probably links to different things that he talked about today, kind of like what we did on the first tech tips we had over Zoom, how we had the question and answers posted there as well. So after stalling a little bit, I still don't see any other questions, so I'll just ask one more time. Is there any questions before we wrap things up? Okay, so I don't see any. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Hopefully everyone can join us next week, where I'm going to talk about more specific features on Zoom webinars and how to hold a Zoom webinar and how it's different from just a regular meeting. So I also want to thank Andrew very much for showing us all the cool apps that we learned about today. I think it'll be very helpful for a lot of people. And I think that should do it for today. I hope everyone has a great week and can join us next week to learn more about Zoom webinars. Thanks, everyone.